This is Yap MMA. Today we're going to be talking about UFC Fight Night, Moicano versus Saint Denis. UFC Paris, it's looking like a pretty good card, boys. It's looking like a really, really good card. We're going to get into it. We're going to break down every fight. We're going to get into my picks, my predictions, and I'll be giving some betting predictions as well. What I think are the best bets, what I think you shouldn't bet on. And yeah, let's get right into it. Starting off the card, I think we got a pretty good fight, to be honest. Balaji versus Chris Duncan. Honestly, should be a pretty exciting fight to start off the card. We got Balaji 9-1, Chris Duncan 11-2. Both men are pretty exciting. Balaji kind of coming in. He just got his first fight. Went to a split decision. We didn't get to see too much from him. But Chris Duncan is coming off that loss versus Manuel Torres in the first round. Pretty bad submission, but both men are standing at the same height, about the same reach. And I just looked at the ceremonial weigh-ins, as you can see up here. I looked at the weigh-ins, and honestly, Chris Duncan is looking a little bit bigger than Balaji. But going into this matchup, who do I think is going to win? Honestly, to me, it's virtually a 50-50. Because Chris Duncan, man, like, he's pretty good. Before that loss to Torres, he was doing pretty good. I think he's only lost to Torres and Vyacheslav Borshev, I'm pretty sure, on the Contender Series. So those are his only two losses. And Balaji, I'm pretty sure he lost a decision. Could check that. Oh, yeah, it's not in... I hate how the UFC app doesn't show all of the fights, but pretty sure he lost a decision. Anyways, going into this fight, Balaji going to have a lot more power in the hands than Chris Duncan, but Duncan's scrappy. I think he's going to mix up the wrestling and stuff, so it should be interesting. If I were to bet on this fight, I would be going the over 2.5 rounds, maybe go the distance. I honestly don't see somebody getting finished here. Chris Duncan's really tough. Oki is also pretty tough, so I think it's going to stay on the feet, and we're just going to see a nice stand and bang fight. So the pick is going to be Balaji, but I would not bet on either guy. I never bet on the first fight. It's virtually a 50-50. But the pick will be Balaji. Moving on to the second fight, we've got Nora Cornoli versus Jacqueline Cavalcanti. This one's a pretty fun matchup and an interesting matchup because this is the second time that these women are fighting each other. For Nora Cornoli's first fight in the first ever MMA fight was versus Jacqueline Cavalcanti, and it is her only loss, actually. So this is a rematch, not a rematch in whatever company they were with before. I think it was in the regional scene, but this is a rematch in the UFC, which is interesting. Cornoli lost a decision to Cavalcanti before. That is one of the big reasons that she is an underdog in this one. But honestly, Cavalcanti's coming off of a month turnaround. She just fought Josiana Nunes, and that was a tough fight for her. She got hit pretty hard during that fight, and Nunes is smaller and scrappier than Cornoli. So I could see a situation where Cornoli starts hitting Cavalcanti pretty hard. Unless Cavalcanti can keep her range and keep the distance going, I do see Cornoli finding those shots and piecing her up on the feet. The pick will be Nora Cornoli. For the fight, I don't think this one's gonna get finished. I would say go the distance as well, but I would bet on Cornoli. They are in Paris. She is born in France, so she will have the judges' sides a little bit. And Cavalcanti is making a month turnaround. It's pretty hard to turn around in a month after getting beat up by someone like Nunes, and Nunes is small, doesn't have as long of a reach as Cornoli. I think Cavalcanti is gonna have a rough night. Anyways, moving on to the next fight, we got Daniel Barres versus Victor Altamirano. This is kind of a fun one. Both men need this win pretty bad. Daniel Barres is 0-2 in the UFC, and Victor Altamirano is coming off of a couple losses as well. So they both need this win pretty bad. Victor is taller and has a bit of a reach advantage, but when I looked at the weigh-ins, they looked at like they were about the same height. I never trust the UFC stats, to be honest, but they were about the same height, and Daniel Barres is older than Victor Altamirano. But honestly, I could see a scenario where Daniel Barres beats Victor in the first round. He has a lot of his finishes coming in the first round. So if Victor Altamirano can get through that storm of the first round, I do think he'll take it home. But for this fight, I am going to be going Daniel Barres by KO or decision. I do think the KO is very plausible. So we're going to be going the dog of Daniel Barres. Very slight dog, but still the underdog in this one. So we'll be taking Daniel Barres by KO. Moving on to the next fight, we got Ailin Perez versus Daria Zelenikova. This one's very interesting because before this fight, before looking at the weigh-ins, I was going to pick Ailin Perez. After looking at those weigh-ins, it showed a lot. Perez had a very, very rough weight cut this fight, and she struggled a lot to even make it to the scale. She was going to the scale, and people had to carry her on there. She was struggling pretty bad. So, a weight cut, it really changes everything. A really bad weight cut can ruin your cardio, It ruins your ability to take shots, to the gut or to the face. Like, it does definitely play a big part in this. Can she bounce back from the ceremonial weigh-in horrible cut to the fight? Possibly, but honestly, Daria Zelenikova got the better reach. She's got the better. She's taller. She's got the better reach. She's only got a loss, and it's rough. It's definitely gonna go the distance. Both these women are decision machines. But honestly, with the bad weight cut, I'm gonna have to go Daria Zelenikova, even though she is a big dog. I do think there's a high chance she can pull this off. She's fighting. She's from Russia, but she's fighting out of France, so she will have the crowd on her side as well. She will have the judges on her side. The pick will be Daria Zelenikova, and honestly, I think putting a little bit of money on her could be worth it for sure. As the big underdog, I think she's a 3-1 underdog, so that will be the pick. And we'll move on to the next fight of the night, which is Taylor Lapulus versus Vince Morales. This one is honestly, this one's pretty rough. This is it's going to be fun, but I think it is a feeding to Taylor Lapulus. They're trying to build another France fighter, and Taylor Lapulus is a good France fighter to build up. He's only got 2 losses in the UFC, I believe, and most of his wins are by decision, but he's got a huge reach, longest reach I've ever seen for a 5'6" guy, and he's going to be using that reach to his advantage, keeping Vince Morales at distance, and I think Taylor Lapulus is just going to piece him up on the feet and it's going to go the distance. It's going to be a unanimous decision. Taylor Lapulus. Vince Morales is coming off of a couple losses. His last fight was 2 years ago, and he lost both his last fights by decision. So we're going to go Taylor Lapulus via unanimous decision. He's not really worth putting any money on. He's just such a favorite in this one. But definitely that is the pick. Moving on to the next one, we've got Ludovic Klein versus Roosevelt Roberts. Same thing as the Taylor Lapulus fight. Same thing as the Lapulus fight. Klein's getting fed Roosevelt Roberts here. I mean, Roberts is coming off of 3 losses, barely fights in the UFC. He got kicked out of the UFC and then brought back just to get his ass whooped by Ludovic Klein. Klein is on a decent little win streak, and I think they're trying to boost Klein in this fight. So I'm gonna have to take Klein by KO. I don't see him getting a sub. He's got no submission threat, but he's definitely gonna knock Roosevelt on the feet probably. He's gonna knock him out on the feet, and this just isn't going to a decision. I would take the under on this fight for sure. Klein's got power in his fist. He's explosive. He's just strong, and he's got such good striking. Very well-rounded. He might mix in the grappling too. And Roberts is he's a bit of a vet, so it's gonna be a rough night for him. The pick's gonna be Klein, and if you do want to put some money on it, I would bet the under on this fight for sure. Moving on to Umar Sy versus Dawoon Jung. Now this one I've got a bit of a different pick. I don't think I've seen many people doing this, but Umar Sy, I think he's a little overrated. I think he is a little overrated. Of course, he's got 10 wins, and how many finishes does he have out of those wins? 4 wins by knockout, 4 wins by submission, 7 first-round finishes. He's definitely a beast, but the last fight he had, Turcos did not know what he was doing. It was a free win for Sai. And Daewon Jung, even though he's on a 3-fight loss streak, he's got power. He's got power, and he needs this fight really badly. He's on a 3-fight loss streak. If he loses this, he's out the UFC. So I think desperation is gonna kick in for Daewon Jung. Honestly, if I was a betting man, I'm betting Daewon Jung by KO, because he's definitely not going to submit Sai, but I could see him getting the KO on Sai. Maybe decision, but Sai is from France, so if it does go a decision, they'll probably give it to Umar Sai. They are trying to boost this guy as well, but I could see a Daewon Jung KO. If you do pick Daewon Jung by KO, it is an 11x, so it could be a good bet for sure, but the pick, realistically speaking, will be Umar Sai. He should beat Daewon Jung. I just feel like there is a possibility where Daewon Jung could find that shot and sleep Umar Sai. A lot of hype trains get derailed, and this might be one of them. Moving on to the next card. This is the final fight of the prelim. Final fight of the prelim. Ion Cutelaba versus Ivan Urslan. I don't know why they don't show the picture of Urslan. I'll keep it here. Ivan Urslan versus Ion Cutelaba. Urslan is coming out of the regional scene. This is his first fight in the UFC, and Cutelaba is a vet. We know this, but he is on a bad loss streak. I mean, he's gone 4-1 in his last 5 fights, and Ivan Urslan has a few losses in the regional scene, but he is a knockout machine. I don't think Cutelaba stands a chance against this guy. I think Cutelaba is probably going to get slept pretty bad. But if it's honestly, this one's like back and forth for sure. I think it's not going to go the distance. There's just no way. Both these guys have power, and Ivan Urslan, most of his wins come by TKO. So I'm gonna go bet the under on this fight, but the pick will be Ivan Urslan. I don't usually pick people coming out of the regional scene to win their first fight, but Cutelaba has been getting beat up recently, and Urslan's got power, so you know how that goes. Moving on into is this the main card already? Yeah, the main card, sorry. Moving into the main card, we've got Matt Frevola versus Fares Ziam. This is a very interesting one, because obviously Frevola's coming off of that loss. Ziam's got a few wins on his belt. Both these men have lost to Terrence McKinney, which doesn't look amazing, but at least they're in that boat together. But Fares Ziam is decision machine, man. This is only obviously 3 rounds, so that is what worries me. Is if he can keep it on the feet and piece up Frevola, he'll probably get the decision. But I'm trusting in Frevola to go out there, use his wrestling, throw hands, and knock this dude out, because Frevola can do that. Steamroller Frevola will get that knockout. I'm hoping for it. I can see it, and it's a bit of a biased pick, but I do like Frevola in this matchup, and I do think Frevola will get that knockout, or just wrestle him. Hopefully the whole fight, to be honest. I think he squeezed out this victory. Frevola, he's got the power, he's got the strength behind on this side, and obviously he doesn't have the height advantage. But Ziam, if he can't keep the distance, Frevola will get inside and beat him up. Matt's last loss was to Benoit Saint Denis, which is a fair loss. Obviously, Saint Denis is the main event of the evening, so let's be honest, that's a pretty okay loss. So I'm taking Matt Frevola by TKO. It's worth putting some money on him. I think he's got this one in the bag for sure. Moving on to Morgan Charrier versus Gabriel Miranda. This is another one where I'm iffy about, because Morgan Charrier does not deserve any hype behind his name. 10 losses, 19 wins. He's just a bad fighter. I'm sorry, Charrier, but he just shouldn't be in the UFC. They brought him back. They need him on the France card. That's it. That's all they want him for, is this Paris card, and I think Miranda has the threat to finish this guy. Miranda obviously got finished by Benoit Saint Denis, just like Matt Frevola, but Miranda is a submission artist. This guy has 16 submissions out of his 17 wins. If he takes Morgan Charrier to the ground, it's over. Miranda gets this fight to the ground, it is going to be over for Charrier. So honestly, as a betting man, I'm betting Miranda by submission because I think that's his only way to win this fight. Otherwise, they will give the decision to Charrier. They will get him to win this fight somehow. I mean, Charrier could win by knockout, or Gabriel Miranda could win by submission. Those are your best props. I'm going to take Miranda by submission. It is an 11x, and I think he gets this fight to the ground and he submits this guy. Because Charrier is he's just not elite on the ground. He's been subbed once. Obviously, it was a long time ago. But Miranda has a submission threat, and I think if he's able to get it to the ground, it will be over. So the pick will be Morgan Charrier, because let's be honest, he's French. He does have knockout power, but I think betting wise, Gabriel Miranda is your way to go. Betting Miranda with the submission threat 11x, it's looking pretty good. All right, moving on to Kevin Jousset versus Brian Battle. Yeah, this is a good fight. Both these men they're pretty entertaining, and I think somebody will get finished in this fight. Brian Battle, he's a beast, to be honest. I think everybody's seen the video where he's 300 pounds and he gets knocked out. He gets knocked out. When I first saw that video, I was like, there's no way that's Brian Battle. And then I saw the pictures of him like cutting weight and stuff and like losing weight. It goes from 300 pounds all the way down to welterweight. 170 is crazy. An insane transformation for him. And I think Brian Battle is just going to keep going with that momentum. And I think he's going to beat Kevin Jousset up. I think he's really going to beat Kevin Jousset up. Jousset's got 2 wins in the UFC. 1 by decision, 1 by submission. And, I mean, if he can get Brian Battle to the ground, maybe he could submit him. But I think Brian Battle's just way more well-rounded. All around, he's just more well-rounded. Better striking, better submission threat, and better grappling. I think Brian Battle is going to be able to dominate Kevin Jousset in this fight, and the pick will be Brian Battle. Will I bet on this fight? I don't think so, because it is kind of like iffy. But I do think Brian Battle will come out victorious for sure. Moving on, William Gomi versus Joanderson Brito. This one's kind of funny. This fight is kind of funny. At the weigh-ins, Brito grabbed Gomi's hand and pulled him close and just started talking some stuff, trying to get in Gomi's head. And I do think that it will work. Gomi looked pretty scared, I'll be honest. But Brito's going to beat him up. Brito's going to destroy Gomi. I don't think Gomi even stands a chance against this guy. Brito beat Diego Lopez and Chepe Mariscal in the regional scene. I think he beat Lopez on the Contender Series, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm not 100% sure about that one. But Brito is good. He's really good. I think after this one, he will get somebody and then finally get ranked, because Brito should be ranked. I'll be honest. This guy should be ranked. He is not a force to be reckoned with. Like, yeah, he's got power in his hands. He walks you down just like Benoit Saint-Denis, and he throws hands. So I would be very surprised if Gomi makes it out the first round. But the pick will definitely be Joanderson Brito by TKO or submission, possibly submission, but I would bet TKO. Yeah, it should be an easy fight for Brito, to be honest. Nasruddin Imavov versus Brendan Allen. This one is kind of interesting. I don't know if you guys saw, but Brendan Allen was complaining about the fact that he had to get blood taken from him, and he had to do a urine test right after the weigh-ins just to fully drain him. He was saying that the France fighters don't have to, but him and Moicano had to. So who knows if that's a viable source, but we'll trust Brendan Allen in this one, and I do think Imavov will probably beat Brendan Allen. I kind of want Brendan Allen to win, to be honest, but I do think Imavov will beat him by decision. This is definitely gonna go the distance. If I was to bet on this fight, I would be betting the distance. Both men, they're used to going the distance. Imavov is not a very good finisher. That finish against Cannonier, I kind of have to side with Cannonier on that one. That was an early stoppage, but it's okay. We'll give it to Imavov, and I'm sure they're gonna they're gonna let Imavov slide away with another decision, and he'll get a title shot or something. Title shot Imavov would be funny. Imavov versus Drukas. Oh my god, that would be interesting. I think Imavov would get destroyed by Drukas. But anyways, I don't see a scenario where Allen can get his hands going and beat beat Imavov on the feet. If this was a 5-rounder, I'd be going Allen, but it is only a 3-rounder, I believe. So yeah, I'm gonna have to go Imavov here. The final fight of the card, and the best fight, of course, is gonna be Renato Moicano versus Benoit Saint-Denis. This one is a fun fight. It's a really fun fight. It's a tough one because I want both men to win. I really do like both men. But when it comes down to it, there's only 2 scenarios here. Either Benoit Saint-Denis walks through Moicano and KOs him in the first round, or Moicano survives the first round and is able to submit Saint-Denis in the second or third. Because if Moicano can get through that first round, I think he's got a solid chance. I think he's got a solid chance. But obviously Saint-Denis is like probably one of the guys who pressures the quickest, the fastest, like the most powerful in the lightweight division, honestly. And obviously he that didn't go well for him last fight against Poirier. You saw as he slowed down and left his chin high up, he got clipped pretty bad, and obviously got beat up. But in this one versus Moicano, I don't know if Moicano has that power to catch Saint-Denis. The pick is gonna be Benoit Saint-Denis. I think he will get the shots going, and he will pick apart Moicano in the first. I don't think Moicano's going to make it out the first round. But if he does, you could bet Moicano by submission. It's a little iffy. So I'm going to be going Benoit Saint-Denis, probably by TKO in the first. Moicano's been finished a few times in the first round. Saw against Fiziev and the Korean Zombie, I believe. So, yeah, we're going to have to go Benoit Saint-Denis by TKO. And that's the final fight of the card. It's a whole card breakdown right there. Breakdown some of my bets, my predictions, and I hope you guys bet wisely and have a great Saturday afternoon. See you boys.